anytime that we're faced with another huge challenge that came out of left field, okay, this has happened before. And every time I look back at all these things that happened to me, and I can usually find the gift in them if I've healed, if I've taken the lesson, and if I've moved through it. And so in this valley that I'm in currently, wherever you are, if you can recognize that this is, like we've said, Taryn, not happening to you, it is happening for you, then you can say, okay, God, what tools am I supposed to pick up in this valley? I know you're working on me, and I know that I'm not going to move out of this valley until I learn whatever I'm supposed to pick up here. So then our mission becomes, in that resilience, to learn those tools as fast as possible, to self-develop as fast as possible, so that we can get to the top of the next mountain. Because the tools that got us to the top of this mountain are not the same set of tools that are going to take us to the top of the next mountain. And I heard this recently, that the top of every mountain is the bottom of another. And I tell you what, the more amazing people I meet in this life, it is the most true thing that I've heard in a very long time.
Adley, you just took us to church.
You're bringing it out,
my sister.
You're hitting on my hot
buttons. Beautiful. Welcome back, Flourish or Fold listeners. We have so many amazing stories of resilience for you today. I am here with my new friend, Adley, who just has blown me away from the moment I met her. She is funny, she is smart, she is intuitive, she is incisive in everything that she picks up on and how she sees the world. She is the founder of an incredible company called Viralish. She's an entertainer that does over 1 billion, that's billion with a B, people, views every month. And she works with some of the biggest brands out there. Welcome, Adley. I'm so excited and delighted to have you here with me today.
Thank you so much, Dr. Taryn. I am pumped to be here and speak with you. This is going to be so much fun.
I'm so pumped too. I am also the pumped. Yeah.
The pumped. And what a great subject. This really is, the subject of resilience is one of my favorite subjects to talk about, and there's not enough people speaking on it. And so this is going to be good. Let's get into it.
So first of all, I was driving my sons into school today, Sawyer and Samson, that are 12 and 10. And my younger son, Sawyer in particular, who's 10, like he really aspires to be a content creator. Like every other person under the age of 35 at the moment.
Exactly.
So he's like, wait, Mom, you're interviewing her? That's so cool. And so we were like thinking of, questions to ask you. And we were like listening to some of your work. So let's start with like this idea of like going viral and like viralish, and like, what does it mean to go viral these days? What is viralish, and like, why would a person want to do that? Maybe that seems obvious to a lot of people, but I think it's interesting to start with some of the basics.
Absolutely. So I do think the word viral is subjective. I think it means something different to everybody. I talked to somebody last week who said, my post is going viral and I'm so excited, it's my first one. And I was like, that's amazing. What? Just out of my own curiosity, what does that mean to you? And they said 40,000 views, because I average around 500 to 1,000 views. And so to them, a post that was, 40x what they're used to doing meant that they were going viral. And I guess our internal standard would stay more around anything that does over 1 million could potentially be a qualifier. But really, we categorically look at something maybe 15 million and above as viral. But if we look at a lot of posts, like for a brand example, we worked with last month, we promised them 10 million views. We did 102 million views in less than 30 days. So now that's a bunch of pieces of content together. One piece did 60 million. And so I think it depends on the person. It depends on the goal, just like any metric, right? What's the goal and what are we measuring against to see if we truly went viral or not? It depends on the standard. But also true to why would you want to go viral? We work with a lot of different brands and they all want to go viral for different reasons. But the biggest common denominator of a reason would be attention. It would be brand awareness. And for some, it's conversion. That's why they want to go viral. So what we are at our core is master storytellers. And whether we're making prank videos and they're just for entertainment, whether we're staging amazing things caught on Ring camera, or we're doing branded content, it all depends on the ultimate goal, what we're aiming for, which usually centers somewhere around brand awareness and or conversion marketing.
I love that. I love that. Do you, like, listeners, like, you see what I'm talking about? Like, just in that, like, one answer to your question, you're like fun, funny, knowledgeable, thoughtful, thinking about the sort of industry, if you will, and like how all this stuff works, and then just so focused on, what that means in terms of your craft and why someone would want to do this with an incredibly comprehensive message and ability to teach. I just love that about you.
So learned too, though, just like how anyone's gotten to wherever they are. For me, it started with something really fun. Like, this made no money. I was probably doing this for 5 years just because I loved it. I was vlogging for like 13 people. Nobody watched, but I loved making videos. I loved storytelling. I came from the music industry where it was all, you were just writing down songs and then recording them, spending all this money to put them out into the world, and you never get paid for it. And then maybe a person behind a desk would give you permission to let people hear it. And that's all that you want to do when you're just kind of wired to perform or entertain. And so I was like, man, I don't really care if anybody watches. I can actually get it out into the world without permission. That is a beautiful thing. Thank you, YouTube. Thank you, Facebook. And so just started making videos because I loved it, never imagining the business that this would turn into by learning how to storytell online and just break through. And over time, we've just deduced this kind of into a formula that is very systematic, where our batting average is just way higher than most for how to go viral consistently and predictably. And that's what ended up leading into the business component of success.
I love this so much. So for those of you that are just listening to the audio version, I just want to call out that Adley is sitting in a space where she is just like surrounded by metallic awards. There's like gold awards. It looks like the like Grammys of YouTube, and maybe some other like socially, like there's like gold, and then there's like silver or platinum and some like stars and glass, like all these incredible awards that you're surrounded by and what you're doing today. And I'm curious to know, like, was there a moment when this started to transition for you from like, I'm having fun doing this. This is just really like, I'm just following my passion, to like, there might be something more here?
Yes. So this was, any of you listening that you're in like a hobby phase right now, where it's like, I really love doing this. I really wish it could pay me someday. For us, that was 2019 into 2020. And we're making videos, and Facebook wasn't monetized yet. And we knew it was probably going to be monetized. And a friend was like, hey, I'm in the beta program for Facebook Watch. Didn't really know what that meant, but it meant, hey, this could maybe pay us someday. And I'm living in a studio, 1-bedroom apartment, making the same types of videos, but being a student of the videos and why they work. And I think that is the difference. When you really love something, you want to get better at it, whether you're screenwriting or writing poetry or you're a craftsman. Right? If you love something, you want to just naturally get really good about it. You want to learn everything about it. So for us, it was that time. And then Facebook did turn on monetization, and not a lot of people were creating on Facebook. But for us, that is where the most people are in the world. So when somebody who wanted an audience and felt like they were having to wait for a seat at the table for so long, that's where I went. I was like, I'm going to go to where most of the eyeballs are, which was Facebook. And then when they turned on monetization, it was, oh my gosh, this is a gold mine, for lack of a better word. But we were just some of the only people on there that had studied the craft for long enough to know how to play really, really well with the algorithm. And we're really students of it, studying all the data that we could to make each video better and better. Here's what we're doing. If we're doing 3 videos a week, how do we get to 5, 7 videos a week? How do we get to 5 videos a day? And that speed of learning, when most people struggle and they are still like, that video's crap, I don't want to put that out, I look silly. And the speed at which we were learning, trying to put out 3 videos a day, we're going to learn and fail 7 times over before you even make a decision to put out your first video, and so that's really played to our advantage and accelerating our learning and accelerating the finances that came along with that.
Yeah, that's so powerful. What it makes me think of is, did you ever read any of Malcolm Gladwell's books? Are you a
I used to
fan
be
of
a
his?
huge reader, and then I got really stinking busy, which is no excuse. But now this month, I'm really focused on carving out the time again, because I used to love it so much. It was like a lifeblood for me. And then I've let that slip to the wayside. And I'm
Yeah,
looking
well,
forward.
this is a judgment-free zone here, so no judgment, but I'll just make this connection because in Outliers, Malcolm Gladwell talks about the people that are the outliers, right? Like, who are the people that, were doing the worst, in terms of being an outlier, and who are the people that were doing the best. And a common example that people use and that he gave was like this idea that Bill Gates was not only interested in computers early on, but like happened to have access to computers because his family like worked at the university. So not only did he have interest, but he had access before most other people had access. And so he was able to, in Malcolm Gladwell's words, get his 10,000 hours in to become this leader in the field when other people maybe didn't have the interest, the awareness, or the access. And so what I love about the story that you shared is like a really incredible riff on that chord where like by virtue of this being interesting to you, by being drawn to it through your own interest, as soon as that algorithm got turned on, you'd already been putting in the reps to study and you were ready and much farther along with thousands of hours, if not tens of thousands of hours, ready to go.
That's such a good, yes, that's exactly right. And you know what? I can actually probably deduce some of our biggest swings and successful moments throughout our career attributed to early access and early success. Now, is that a byproduct of being where I am now? Partly. And is the other part luck? Yes. And is putting in the hours also a factor? Yes. But I think it is this kind of perfect storm when you have these giant upswings. But what you just said really rings true. If you're really focused and passionate about something, you're going to want to immerse and surround yourself in it. So what is that thing for you that you are really passionate about, or you even think that you could be passionate about? Start studying, start immersing yourself, because you're going to get early access to that knowledge when you're plugged into the source. Right.
Yeah.
And so for us being so interested in it, we got plugged into the source and continue to be plugged into the source early. And now that does help us serve our business and continue to make really entertaining videos, but it also helps us serve our clients with that access and that information. But it wasn't there in the beginning. It did come from a really diehard interest in making silly videos.
I love it. I love it. And, actually, so we started to talk about this a little bit before we hit record. And I don't think I finished this explanation for you, but like the same for me happened actually. So 20 years ago, I got interested in how it is we effectively face challenges in our lives. And I was like, hey, like everybody I see goes through challenge. Like this seems to be the fabric of our human experience. Are there things that people are doing like in these moments of challenge that would just like allow us maybe not to avoid the challenge because we can't avoid challenge, it's the fabric of our lives, but are there things that we could do in that moment that would just smooth out the path a little bit or create a more positive outcome or create a more productive outcome? And so I started writing these little articles on LinkedIn, right? I was like terrified. I was like an executive at Cigna at the time. Like every time I would post it, I would like look at the phone, like my boss was going to call me and be like, what were you thinking with that? It was like she was going to see it as soon as it went up on LinkedIn, but I started with these like little, and then people started reading them. And then I got invited to speak places, and I had been doing research for 20 years on like what makes us resilient and had developed an understanding based on interviewing hundreds of people, the 5 practices of highly resilient people. And so then, like you, 2020 was a turning point because all of a sudden we're in quarantine, we're in the midst of the pandemic, and Ariana Huffington says, resilience is my word for the year.
Ooh.
And people started saying, what is resilience? Well, how do we get it? Well, where do we find that? Like, what does that even mean? And, you know, 18 years before that, I'd already started this work and had this whole practice in the Resilience Leadership Institute. So like you, right, it was a totally different journey, but also that like interest that drew me to something that ultimately became relevant, many years later.
It's the preparation meets opportunity moment. And
Let's
just stay
go.
in the game. If you were focused and in year 15, you're like, this isn't getting me anywhere. What am I doing? Then you quit. And 3 years later would have been that breakthrough. And so until you see in hindsight, like how these stories mathematically play out when you are focused, you're passionate, you're prepared, and then an opportunity comes because you stayed in the game. That is the key. And that's why so many people preach it. But until you hear stories like yours or mine, you can't always see how they play out. But I guarantee you, if you look back at your own life, you have 100% success rate of staying in the game, right? So anytime that we're faced with another huge challenge that came out of left field, okay, this has happened before. And every time I look back at all these things that happened to me, and I can usually find the gift in them if I've healed, if I've taken the lesson, and if I've moved through it. And so in this valley that I'm in currently, wherever you are, if you can recognize that this is, like we've said, Taryn, not happening to you, it is happening for you, then you can say, okay, God, what tools am I supposed to pick up in this valley? I know you're working on me, and I know that I'm not going to move out of this valley until I learn whatever I'm supposed to pick up here. So then our mission becomes in that resilience to learn those tools as fast as possible, to self-develop as fast as possible so that we can get to the top of the next mountain. Because the tools that got us to the top of this mountain are not the same set of tools that are going to take us to the top of the next mountain. And I heard this recently, that the top of every mountain is the bottom of another. And I tell you what, the more amazing people I meet in this life, it is the most true thing that I've heard in a very long time.
Adley, you just took us to church.
You're bringing
Preach,
it out,
my
girl.
sister.
You're hitting on my hot buttons.
Beautiful. Well, and that could not be a more beautiful segue for you to have the opportunity to share, your resilient story, your moment of facing challenge. Obviously, none of us have just one story of facing, the big 3 C's, the challenge, change, and complexity. But share with us that story that really was put on your heart to talk about the behind the scenes moment of challenge and how that has formed you into the entrepreneur, the woman, the person that you are today.
Well, I work in the business of attention. So I have years of challenges that we have to overcome, because what was true last month is not true currently. So staying lean and being able to pivot often and staying adaptable and resilient are really the lifeblood of our business. But before all of this, and in a place where many of your listeners may be, if they're in a period of challenge, I'll tell a story about a time where I was supposed to be, I'm doing air quotes, supposed to be on top of the world and ended up broken and bankrupt and really, really sad. And how I had to actively reframe myself if I was ever going to pull out of that. So I mentioned that I was in the music industry, and it was a dare from my sorority sisters to go on this show called The Voice. And so I'll spare you the details, but I ended up on the show, and
I just ask real quick, like, how did that dare emerge? Like, no one's ever dared me to go on like a reality television show. So just real quick, I'm curious about how that dare, where they were like, I dare you to go on The Voice. Like, what were the circumstances of that?
Well, you should have known me in college, because that was the least of the dares that I accepted.
I would have loved to have known you in college. And that would have also meant like I could have gone back to college like 10 years after I graduated and done it all again. So it would be like a double win for me.
Oh, so fun. Yes. So we do karaoke. This was Stillwater, Oklahoma. Okay. So we do karaoke on Wednesdays if we got enough Miller Lights in us. Okay. And that was if we were feeling fancy. It was usually Keystone Light. So would do karaoke and just loved music. Was the friend in the group who was burning the CDs, doing all that, and knew how to play guitar. I always say that I learned to play guitar at 10, and I haven't gotten any better since I was 11. And that's still true. But I was playing music, and they're like, you should go on this karaoke show, which was The Voice. So I was like, yeah, drove through the night chugging energy drinks for an 8 a.m. audition, like not prepared, took it not seriously at all, and then ended up on the show. And so I was thinking, like, and then I got a record deal. These are air quotes again, a record deal that I was supposed to change my life, all this amazing stuff. When you're going to be on the number one show in America, which it was that season.
Sorry, sorry to interrupt your story. So real quick, like what year is this? Because I want to position this a little bit for myself and for our listeners, because we know things really changed for you and took off in 19 and 20. And I'm curious, like, what season were you on The Voice?
2. This was 11. Oh my God. This was almost 11 years ago, Taryn.
Wow.
Yes.
Okay, so this would have been back in, we're talking like, what?
2012, 2013, yeah.
12, 13. Okay.
Yeah. So this was be.Adley, 22, 23, fresh out of college. And so, yes. And I signed this record deal. I moved to Nashville, and there's a period where you're going on a show and you're, that you're going to be on this show, and that your life has changed, but it hasn't aired yet. So I was at the gym, I was laying on the abs mat, and I was just praying, like, this has all been so fast for me. And I'm praying, I'm like, God, you've got the wrong girl. Like, for sure, I was going to go work for a nonprofit. I was going to go speak and encourage and inspire people. Now here I am in Nashville. I'm going to be on this giant show, and I've signed a record deal, and I don't really know how to sing. So I think you got the wrong girl. And Taryn, I heard his voice as audibly as you can hear it, when you know that you're just got your soul rocked by a God whisper. It was that.
I do know.
You know. And he said, Ad, I just gave you a stage and a microphone and a voice you didn't know you had. What do you think you're supposed to do with it? Go speak, go encourage, go inspire people. I just gave you a way bigger platform than you were giving yourself. And so I made this agreement with God. I was like, okay, you just gave me such a leg up. I will earn everything else. Thank you for the platform. Thank you for this opportunity. I'll earn the rest. And I think this is true. Anytime you tell God, like, you make a deal and you say you're going to do something, he has this little way about him where he's like, oh, really? And he throws a massive obstacle your way to say, do you really want this? Do you really want your dream? Are you really in deal with me? Or did you just say yes if you thought it was going to be easy? You thought you were going to have this cush life out of this reality show and this record deal. Did you just want it if you thought it was going to be easy? And so pretty much right after that deal, went on the show. And then that record deal that I signed was a shark of a deal. I signed away commercial rights to my name for life. I was completely owned really for the rest of my life commercially when it came to entertainment. And so it forced me into bankruptcy. It forced me, I couldn't put gas in my car for a little while. I couldn't use my name, which is the only leverage I had after the show. I was not in a good, healthy relationship with my boyfriend at the time. And my dad was dying of alcoholism. And so it was like the lowest of the low when I thought I was supposed to be on the mountain. I think that's the key point too. I thought I was supposed to be on top of the mountain. That was the hope in this false promise in my mind, and here I am feeling immense amounts of hurt and immense amounts of pain. And then you have a choice, right? You have to believe that there's testimony in this and that all of this has to make sense someday, or you just stay a victim. You either let this pain be your fortress and all the reasons why you can't, and this is why I can't, and you stay in that victimhood, or you let it be your fuel. And it's all the reasons why you have to. And for me, it became all the reasons that I have to. And I realized the quickest way to pull myself out was to help other people win. And so under a fake name, I started consulting, which I had no business consulting I was totally a fake person at this point. And I won't even tell you my name because then I'm scared people will go look it up, old people that I used to serve. But I would just help them win. I figured out if they were an app development company, I would stay up all night researching how to help them do that. If they were a marketer, if it was Nissan, I wrote a proposal that I wanted to help Nissan give away a car to a family who had just lost their home in the tornadoes in Moore, Oklahoma. And then I said, I'm going to steal a country music star's car. And long story short, ended up stealing Joe Diffie's car and driving it across 3 states, brought TV and radio to every single Nissan dealership along the way. And then we gave away this car. But it pulled me out of the gutter by serving and helping Nissan get a win, who had some resources, and helped Joe Diffie promote the album that had just come out. And so by creating a perfect trifecta between attention, which is the only little bit of anything that I had, and brands and servitude, that pulled me slowly. It was my first step out of this gutter that I was in. And so really that message from God and that pattern of resilience and serving other people when I feel like crap has really been the lifeblood and through line of how I view the world.
Mm. I mean,
Same as you. I think that's why we resonate on this on such a deep level, and we can do this for hours and just probably share a million stories of the patterns that emerge when you are a highly resilient person. And I'm not even saying that I am. I'm going to hang up and go cry after this, you know?
I mean, I was crying while you were telling the story. For anyone who's watching the video, I was like, you know, oh,
I'm so
it's
thankful
such
for
a
those.
sorry, what did you say?
I just said, and I'm so thankful for those times now. It doesn't make it any easier when you're in the next period of needing to be highly resilient. But if you learn to trust yourself and your bounce back rate, and to date, your success rate of hanging in there, knowing that you do have an opportunity to make it better. And I heard this quote, I forget who said it, but they said, if you make your life a life of service, you'll never wake up lonely, depressed, or anxious again. And immediately when you don't know what to do for yourself, you're focusing too much on yourself. Go focus, even just for a short minute, get out of your house, get out of your mind, and go focus on somebody else. And when I heard that quote, I mean, it hit me like a huge God whisper. So anytime I'm starting to be like, oh, I'm worried, I don't know what to do, and I'm just making myself sick, stop, do some gratitude practice, get outside your house or get outside your mind and go through your phone and say, how can I serve somebody else today? How can I make life easier for somebody else? Because ultimately, you're going to be returned so much more than you give. It's just a spiritual law. And not that we serve in order to be given to, but it is a spiritual law. And it makes us feel better, at least in the meantime.
Yeah. Oh, that's so powerful. It's so powerful. Um, give us some guidance on, we've all been in this moment, are in this moment, will be in this moment again, of sort of standing like where we are today in this moment, right? And then there's a chasm between where we are today and where we want to be tomorrow, or what we see for ourselves. And that chasm seems impossible to cross. And there's just such a, expanse between like where we are today and where we see ourselves for tomorrow. What are some of the like tools and strategies that you've used in those moments?
Man, I feel like I live in this moment every day of my life. Of here's where I am, and I'm generally so thrilled to be here. Like this, I've surpassed my own expectations, which continually, I think, been faithful in the little things. So God maybe keeps trusting me with more, and so I know that the vision is really big, and I always don't know what it is because this is social media, and I don't even know where we're going to be in 6 months. So I'm really bad at full vision casting. It's more of who do I want to be in 5 years, not where do I want to be, but who do I want to be in 5 years? Because I don't even know if the apps we're working on today are going to be around, right? So it's less about where I want to be and more about who's the person that needs to show up in 5 years and how much more can I be developed, because then I have that much more to offer the world. But in this unknowing that I've gotten really comfortable living in, it's been one really resounding phrase, which is God gives us a lamp to our feet, not a flashlight. I have no idea how to get where I'm going, but I know the next right step. I know the phone call I need to make. I know the email I need to write. I know the book I need to read. I know the friend I need to reconnect with. I know the podcast I need to be on and talk about resilience with my friend Taryn. I know the next right step to take. And that's all I can do. That's all any of us can do, is just keep in motion, stay in motion. And that also helps with a lot of anxiety. If I sit and think about it too long, I'm going to be a pile of sludge, because I don't know what to do. And I know my tendency to overthink. And the biggest way for me to get out of that chasm is to stop thinking and just do.
So powerful. I wrote down what you said. Who do I want to be versus where do I want to be?
I've never thought about that or said that before, but yeah, God must have dropped that in there. But that made sense to me, because everybody's always like, where do you want to be in 3 years? Where do you want to be in 5 years? And my true answers. Like, I have no effing idea. I never could have bet 6 months ago I'd be doing what I'm doing today. And
Yeah.
especially a year before. So it's really hard for me to set goals like that. So then I'm just thinking, I want to be a person of integrity. I want to be, I want to have a good family life. I want to serve my friends. I want to be known for this. I want to give, that's what I want to be. And then whatever placement God puts me in order to do that, then that is my purpose. My purpose is not an attachment to a title or even a video that I made, and what my view count looks like, which is how people know about us, this billion view a month formula and the things that we try to coach on. That's how people are knowing me and our team more and more. But what if God takes that all away? What if I do something stupid? There's a high probability. Let's be honest. So if I'm stripped of any title or any work accolades, if all these plaques go away, who am I still? Do I crumble under that? Or do I say, whew, that sucked, but that's going to mean something someday and I'm going to go build it again. And that's the kind of person that I'm focused on being.
Yeah. That's so powerful because for me, in the difficult times in my life, and I'm in one of them right now.
Ooh, let's go. That means God's got something big planned. That's exciting.
Sister, from your lips to God's ears, let's
level it up.
Yeah. I'm in the test before the testimony,
Yes,
as we
ma'am.
say. Yeah. I forgot what I was going to say. Oh, here it is. And so there've been so many moments, and I'm in it right now, where it's like, I can't be who I want to be because I'm not where I want to be. Like I don't feel like I'm the best or greatest version of myself. I just feel exhausted and tired and like
Your mom.
uncertain and scared and like all, and like if I can just get to that place where I want to be, if I can just get across that chasm, then I can be such a wonderful version of myself. And so I just love what you said because it rings so true in my body, which is, it's about being the who, being the person, your highest version of yourself, your self that's in most integrity, and being the who will get you to the where versus thinking that I need to get there and then I'll be a better version.
Amen. And I think it was Vishen Lakhiani who said this, or at least I heard it from him, where he said a lot of people get law of attraction wrong. It's really the law of resonance, which is you can't just bring it to you because you're probably not ready to receive those big things that you're asking for. You first have to become it. You have to believe that you are, because then your behavior starts acting in accordance with that. And then you shine, then you're magnetic, then you resonate, and that thing is attracted to you. You don't just will it to you when you're not ready, when you haven't become somebody that knows how to handle that. And that really stuck with me too, and has helped me a lot getting over my chasm moments of, I want to be here and I think I'll be happier when I get here, or I'll be kinder, or whatever it is, once I have this thing, this external thing happen in my life. But as we all know, when we receive external things, it kind of feels meaningless. Like you can be proud of yourself, but you're like, I'm no happier than I was a day before I got that plaque or that one or that one. Like nothing changes except for maybe your leverage, the conversations and relationships that you're able to have. But you're going to lose all that if you're not the person ready to have those conversations or can know how to hang even in those relationships. If you're not bringing value to the table because of your life experiences and the mutual value that you can have being in relationship with another person or business. So I'm a big believer, and I'm preaching to myself too, by the way. I need to hear this all the time. So that's why having these conversations are so life-giving, because it's a practice. It's like yoga. Like I'm not living in constant practice actively of this probably every day of my life, but it's like studying the Bible or anything else. The more you control your inputs and put it into your mind and into your heart and hear yourself say it, the more readily we can become it and work on being that version of ourselves that we hope to be.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I'll just sort of add something on to that, and then I want to talk with you about how people can work with you, because I know everyone listening is going to be like, is it just for David's bridal, or like, can I sign up too, right? or you're, one of your many clients. But I'll just say at the end of 22, I was leaving an abusive relationship. And I was like, really? Like, I got myself in an abusive relationship in my 40s? Like, how did this happen again? By the way, this is not the father of my sons. So I
Got it.
was, leaving this relationship. It wasn't good for me. It wasn't good for my sons. I was able to like shield them from,
Mhm.
a majority of almost all actually of the emotional, all of the physical abuse and most of the emotional abuse, but we knew it was time to go. And then I was recording my audiobook at the end of 22 and early 2023. So I was in studio reading my own book, reading the words that I had written in this moment. I was like, dang, there's like some good, there's some good stuff in here. Like, and so like past me was like uplifting current me. I was like, thank you. Like, this
That's
is really
powerful.
helpful. I needed to hear it again, just to your point. Like it's a practice, it's a remembrance, it's a constant going back to our touchstone.
Amen. Oh, well said. And that's when you know that there's personal growth too. Like the fact that you can still look back and find really pieces of value in this person in a different season of your life too is so beautiful and just shows the timelessness of what you're writing about. Resilience since the dawn of time. And it's not even as much as our world changes, the principles that you're writing about and that you're an expert on, those aren't changing. Those are laws, and so we just become more powerful and we're faster and more expedient moving through to the things that we want in life if we learn how to become more resilient. I can't think of anybody else better to learn from than you in these conversations that you so actively have. They're really such a gift to the world.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so
Neat.
much. Well, Adley, that compliment means so much to me. And you are such a gift to the world. No, you're a gift. We're both gifts.
You, girl, you.
And and I'm so excited because you've continued, as you said, to grow and expand your company. And my understanding is like it's not just for like big marquee brands, although that is a component of the work that you're doing, but people can actually work with you to create viralish videos to get your coaching to learn from you directly. So tell us for our listeners today, whether they're part of a big corporation and they're like, yes, this is what we need from a marketing standpoint, or, folks who are like, I want to do this for me. Like, how can people find you and work with you?
Absolutely, you guys. And this is such a newer thing to me, but I think it's an important thing because for a while we were just insulated here in Nashville, just doing it for ourselves and our close friend circle. And then some people really encouraged me, like, you need to bottle this up. This was 2 years of them saying, bottle this up. Other people need this. And me having that imposter syndrome of, I don't know how to help people unless I can work with them directly, and really move a meaningful needle for them. And so if I can't do that, then I don't want to do it at all. And so it's been friends and encouragement that have helped me take what we know and what we experience and do here at Viralish every day and bottle it up so that we can serve. Because I do think that you have a mandate to share. If you have learned something really valuable that a bunch of other people want, you have a mandate to share that with the world. And so them helping me package and put this together in a way that is accessible for anybody outside of Nashville has been really, really life-giving, not only to myself, but be able to see other people take this information. And the first video they make after doing our course gets 3.4 million views. And then the second one getting 1.2 million, and just watching their content transform as soon as they apply our formula, plug and play into their business. That's the most fun I've had in a long time, is being able to see it work, not just for myself, but for the people that we serve and the people around us. So it's the newest, funnest venture in my life. And so the easiest, most accessible way is our group coaching. And that's at goviralish.com. And that's, I think, the easiest way you had to grab it. Goviralish.com. You get our formula. We do weekly coaching calls with me, the team that I use in Viralish House all day, every day. That is the team who is coaching on those calls. And then I can't help myself, so I pop in all the time as well. And then, but I can't just make it to all of them. So we made other packages and things like that. If you're interested in, especially if you're a brand and you're doing at least 5 to 10 million a year in annual revenue, that's really the clients that we serve on a brand level. And I would say just email creators@viralish.com. Tell us about you, and we'll see and do everything we can to help. I still have a really, really small team, and we're growing all of the time. but we only want to take on people that we know, again, that we can serve at the highest level. Otherwise, I would just refund all your money, But the group coaching is a really great way to at least learn the formula and start applying it to yourself. And that's at goviralish.com. And then brands email creators@viralish.com, and let's see what we can do.
Let's go. Let's go. We are
Let's
all
go.
gonna, run, not walk to go viralish right now and sign up for that coaching program. I know I am. I am so excited to get to work more closely with your team and just get to bask in the glow of all of your amazing goodness. So here's a little key takeaway that I want to just drop for us as we're coming to a close today. And that is, you talked so eloquently about how to transition from the sort of like victim mentality, like I'm being perpetrated against, like, why is this happening to me? To then just flipping that script of why is this happening for me, And then what I heard happen in our conversation and you give voice to is now it's why is this happening through me? Meaning like, I know.
Whoa, girl.
Yeah, like you've gone from 2 to like, why is this happening for me? Integrated those lessons. And now you're bringing those lessons to the world and they're happening through you. And it's beautiful to see.
Oh man, that is good word, Taryn. We should make t-shirts.
Let's do it.
Why is this happening through me? That has been my prayer lately, and the burden and the guilt of success, or the weight that I'm feeling is like, Lord, why are you continuing to bless us so much? What am I supposed to do with it? I'm back on the abs mat all over again of why are you being so awesome and amazing? Also trying to not let the fear of, holy crap, the shoe's going to drop right around the corner, but also, how am I supposed to serve right now? How do you want me to show up? This is all yours. This isn't mine. I mean, any financial abundance, anything that we're getting is just tools that you're giving us to do something cool with. So what do you want? What do you want us to do? Please make that painfully clear to me. And I will go do it, because this is the beautiful world that you've created and have allowed me to live in. And I'm just so excited to be here. So that's my active prayer is, what are you doing through me? That is beautiful, Taryn. I'm going to think on that all day.
Oh, I'm so excited. I'm so excited. What a delight and honor to get to invest this time with you. Thank you for being here with us today. You are absolutely amazing. You are the real deal. And I just am so grateful every time we get to connect. You are uplifting. You are awesome. You are deeply brilliant, and you care so much about people, and that you're just a total dynamo.
Oh, well, back at you, sister. And thank you so much. That means a ton. We connected over dinner, and I'm so thankful that you stayed in touch and followed up with me, because I think the world of you. Thought it that night, think it even more today as I've gotten to know you. So thank you for having me on your show and getting to spend time with your listeners. And thank you guys for listening.
Oh, you're the best. Until next time. Are you kidding me right now? I mean, that just might be one of the most amazing episodes I have ever recorded. I was just loving that energy and my conversation with Adley and the crystallization of that lesson. It's been so powerful for me. And I think so many of you have shared with me that as you've moved from why is this happening to me to why is this happening for me, that it's completely shifted your perspective, not only looking back at challenge, but also in the midst of challenge when you're in it. And that ability to like simply change your mindset in the moment is so powerful. And then to think about, once we've gone through these challenges, and to Adley's point, like when we do our healing, how beautiful it is to then get to share through us, to be able to then have those challenges be recast as a way that we get to be a light to the world, and we get to share those learnings through us is just so good. I also want to double click on what Adley said. Who do I want to be versus where do I want to be? She didn't say this expressly during the interview, but I've heard her say it before. And I think this is really important. In social media, it's so easy to get caught up in the likes and the follows and the views and the saved and shares. And Adley has said, even though her profession is social media and is views, she said that's a really dangerous place to live, and that she never wanted to get caught up in being sort of beholden to the likes and views. And so this idea of first being who we need and want to be, being the who before we get to the where we want to be, is just so incredible. And I also want to double click on how Adley talked about how pain can be our fortress or our fuel. That really got me. Like, the pain and the challenge that we experience, we can stay there, and that can be the fortress around us and the reason why we can't, or that pain can be the fuel for moving forward, for making change, for picking ourselves up, for dusting ourselves off, for getting to the next level in our lives. So, wow. Adley just, girl, you took us to church today in all the best ways. Flourish or Fold listeners, thanks for being here. I am so grateful for all of you. We're actually in a moment with the Flourish or Fold podcast. We are a top 1% podcast. We are approaching 200,000 downloads over the life of this podcast show in just 40 or so episodes. And I'm so grateful for all of you for tuning in, for being a part of this journey, for finding value here, for investing your valuable time and attention and energy in the Flourish or Fold show. So thank you so much. I am deeply honored and grateful to be your host. Until next time, this is Dr. Taryn Marie. Hey there, Flourish or Fold listeners. As a mental health professional and someone who cares deeply about our overall health and wellness, what I know for sure is that our mental health doesn't just stop below our neck. Mental health is about feeling not only great in our minds, it's also about feeling great in our bodies. Now, I'm sure that you've seen a lot of information about new weight loss drugs, injectable weight loss drugs that are either on back order, completely inaccessible, or if you have access to them, so expensive that the vast majority of American people cannot get a hold of them. Well, I made it my mission to find a way for everyone to have access to these medications in a way that is affordable, because I see how life-changing they are for so many people. Now, I've spent months vetting companies, and I'm excited to announce that I believe I have found the very best. I've partnered with bodycaremd.com because they offer the highest grade weight loss medications. These are called GLP-1s. I have been to their FDA registered facility, and I've watched them make this product myself with my own eyes. Bodycare MD provides the absolute best weight loss medications. And if you want to get to the weight that you have desperately struggled to get to for years with diet and exercise and simply nothing works, there's no shame in wanting to feel better, to have more energy, to have more confidence in the way that you look. You're going to go to the website, and I've got a code for you to get 20% off. It's Dr. Taryn, Dr. Taryn, Taryn 20. You'll get 20% off your first month. You will answer some questions online, and you'll be connected with a network of licensed doctors in all 50 states who will carefully review your medical records and ensure that you're a good candidate. So check out Bodycare MD, enter the code Dr. Taryn 20 and receive 20% off your first order. Here's to having access to these medications that have been in short supply, and of course, having the opportunity to have the body, the energy, and the health that you've always dreamed of.